play you this interview, okay, because it's April the 1st, it's Anthony Joshua. It's a kind of homecoming in some ways, is the way I look at it. And we will hear from him. Now, I began talking to him when I spoke to him about extra pressure and whether it's on him this time round.
I don't deal with pressure anymore. You saw what happened when I was under pressure last time. Unless people want to see me chasing my opponents around the ring every time I fight and stuff like that, then I'm not going to deal with pressure. I'm just going to do my best, and wherever that takes me, let it be.
Isn't there just some boxing pressure to do a good job, to make it look good, to move back on to where you think you should be and where some of us think you should be?
Yeah, there is, but like the pressure that I'm under is just it's a bit over the top. So I'm not going to get too carried away with it. It's like, imagine I put myself under pressure, plus the pressure I get from people in my industry. Honestly, it'll drive me crazy, because the pressure, right? If I'm looking for, what does pressure mean? That you're trying to get respect from people, or you're trying to impress people. So I'm under pressure to prove something to someone or something along them lines. I just feel like in boxing, it's so hard. It's so hard to get it and then maintain it. So what I've got to do is just say, this is just for me. I'm dealing with my own pressure. I'm just going to do my best.
I don't think, and I'll tell you this now and we'll move on, I don't think any boxer in British history has ever been placed under the pressure that you've been placed under from the very, very start.
Let's say this now. What do they say? Well, you want all the glory, you deal with the pressure.
Yeah. Are you looking to get Jermaine Franklin out of there sooner rather than later, or are you just going to say, look, I want to do what I've got to do? But is there something inside you, something inside AJ that wants to get him out of there? Get him out of there. Make a show of it.
Well, look, let's take Jermaine Franklin out of the picture, because I respect the man. Yeah? Whoever is in the ring, moving forward, I can't talk about the past, it's done. Let's talk about what's going to happen in the future. Moving forward, it's not only that I want to knock them out, I want to take their soul. I really want to demoralize, discourage, break down systematically, physically, fitness, mentally, and really put on a show. And I just want to get the job done and walk out. Job done. What's next?
And does this feel maybe more than other fights like that? Just an absolute clinical job. You've put the training in. We know there's been no thrills. You've done your work. You've trained really hard. You've come back, you've got a determination in your eyes that I haven't seen for a while. Does this feel like just an absolute job? Clinical job, get in there, get him out?
No hype, pure respect, no underestimating, none of this Anthony Joshua or former champion, all that. This is just a geezer that's coming in to do a job and perform to his own standards and try to impress his coach. That's it. Let me get the job done and walk out as soon as I can and focus on what's next.
Let me ask you a question. When you came to London the other 2 or 3 weeks ago for 48 hours, when you were flying back to Dallas, did that feel like a relief, getting off the plane, getting into your quarters, knowing you were going to the gym the next day, getting back to being the new Anthony Joshua?
Yeah, I like Dallas a lot. I like it a lot. Even being back here, I like England, but I don't know, just it's grey, man. Like getting back to Dallas was just good. It's hot. It's like a lot of different cultures. The gym, like Errol Spence, Frank, Fernando's in there. Yeah, like just a bunch of elite fighters trying to make their way up the rankings. It's so good. I just like it a lot. I've always trained quite alone, really. So yeah, it's been good.
Is it fair to say that you can be relatively anonymous there? I mean, you're not going to completely pass off anonymously, but you can be fairly anonymous there.
Fairly, yeah.
Yeah, within reason.
I'm running. Someone's like, hey, man, pick it up, champ. You got a fight coming up. And you know how these Americans are. I was saying, like, they're funny, man. But it's all love. Do you know what it is? Yeah, it's crazy. Like, everywhere I go is just, like, so much love and respect. I think people have a admiration for fighters, especially ones that have been to the top or trying to get there. Because I think people, obviously, they have high expectations, and you know, us fighters are a bit funny sometimes in what we say and how we act. But I think people have a respect. So when I meet people from all over the world, there's so much respect there. It's really good to see. And I watch these fighters coming up. I think, man, they've got so much that they've got to go through to get to this position where they get the respect from the people. It's just so hard. I just wish them all the luck in the world. And if there's any advice or wisdom I can pass on to them, I'd love to, because it's such a tough industry.
Do you get calls from young fighters, AJ?
Do you know what? I don't. Not really. Not really. It's crazy. Only like people that we work with, like the management company, like it's good because we're all in a WhatsApp group. So we all do talk, we've all got each other's numbers. But outside of that, the main thing people want to do is fast track their career. That's the main thing. A lot of people think that, how do I get to GB? And it's like, you got to win like your regionals, your nationals, all that type of stuff. I'm like, if you do it that way, there's no doubt you will get there. And I'm trying to explain to them that the tougher the route, the more substance you'll have when it gets tough in the future, because it's such a tough industry. Don't try and skip it. And yeah, that's it really. That's it.
When did you realise that, AJ?
What, the industry?
Yeah, when did you realise that there's no shortcuts and the only way is the only way, so to speak?
Kind of like early on, because remember, I walked into the gym with my cousin and I watched him boxing. And then when I started boxing, I went through the rankings quick, didn't I? So it was like,
you did,
Finchley,
yeah.
Then I was like representing England, then I represented Great Britain. Then I turned professional. Then it was like I boxed for the Commonwealth, the WBC Silver. I boxed for the British. So I just know that like there's a process that you have to go through. And it helped me when I fought people that put up a fight back. Because it's one thing when I'm having it my way, bang, knocking guys out. And I'm fighting someone that put up a bit of resistance. For example, when I fought Dylan, he was the first opponent that dug in a bit. Then I fought Klitschko, he dug in a bit. It was like, it helped me. It helped me a lot because I've been through the tough journey as an amateur and as a professional. Well, yeah, as an amateur, it helped me as a professional.
And finally, I've got to ask you a question. I hate doing it. I've got to ask you a question about this ongoing whole Fury Usyk thing.
Yeah.
And it's the final question. Has it surprised you that it's not been made, or did you expect there to be the ongoing relentless problems?
I want to be optimistic.
Cool, so do I.
It will be made. I think it will be made. I think there's just too much pressure. But remember, right, this is Great British champion, isn't it? And this is how he's dealing with the heavyweight championship belt. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's like the heavyweight championship of the world. You know, you want to get out there and fight the best. And like, I don't know, I could say a lot, but I'm not champ, innit? I don't care at the end of the day. Like, I respect them both. I wish them well. But I just wish that it was just like boxing. Yeah, we need to kind of, I believe, like, even though it's a dark industry, and I got to tell you that this geezer and he will never beat me to kind of lift myself up. I think that the way that we go about it sometimes keeps it in the gutter a bit. Whereas if we just sit down and say, listen, one of the best fighters in the world, and he markets me, I market him, and I make him seem bigger than life itself. It just blows this whole thing up. But I'm telling everyone that he can't even carry my gym bag. Like, who is he? He don't deserve 10%. That it makes it look worse than what it is. So, and that's the only thing I'll say with the heavyweight division or boxing in general is like, fighters, I know we've got big egos, but it's better to give each other respect because it brings up the sport.
Yeah, sometimes we're our own worst enemies, AJ.
So that's what I expect from the champions. So I wish them both well. I hope the fight happens, and I hope it's like a respectful press conference. Obviously, it's got to be fun. It's got to be a bit of banter in there. It can't be some boring press conference, but respect goes a long way. And that's one thing, when I meet a lot of people on my day-to-day, yeah, they're like, you know, respect, like you kind of carry yourself.
A very raw Anthony Joshua there, just to say that was recorded 24 hours ago, obviously. Now, a few football results.